Well, there's a weird picture on there.
I think we're actually live now, so there we go. We're going to see Fred bringing back the brouhaha.
Yeah.
I already have mine on my desk, Fred. You missed out. There you go. What are you drinking there, Fred?
That's Aventinas.
It's a what?
Delicious.
Oh, really? Yeah. I still got to try that root beer.
Oh, it's delicious.
I haven't gotten it yet. Maybe next time. Maybe that'll be next Thirsty Thursday. I'll grab some of that. That'd be pretty good. Anyway, welcome to the Space Bro Show, guys. We're back. I don't know if we're on episode 6 or 7 or 6. I think we're on 6, if you don't count the special we did last Saturday. I think it's 6. So we'll go with 6, question mark, unless I update it later and then it becomes 7. And we'll edit all that in. Anyway, we've had a lot of good information. Everybody had a great time at CitizenCon. The specialty live stream was awesome sauce. 6 hours of epicness. Still a little recovering from that because it was a little tired. And then we had Thirsty Thursday yesterday, which was a good time too. Lots of good information coming out there. So what have we seen this week? We saw 10 for the designers, which had some good information out there. But I don't think there was anything that was like...
I think he was a little confused about the size of...
I think there was some ship confusion. We have some newbies on there, some guys that are a little more, I mean, obviously we've seen, what's his name? His name Jason, who works on the Endeavor. We've seen a lot of videos with him.
I don't think that guy was that new.
The other guy? You mean his boss, basically?
The guy that was talking, actually doing the talking?
Yeah.
I don't think that guy was that new.
I think he's new to broadcasting, though.
Well,
I'm not saying he's new to the company, but he's definitely new to doing that whole, 10 for the thing. You can tell. I mean, and God love him. He tried.
There were some gaffes.
He tried. He did well, I think, for being new. But it's the thing that was hilarious to me is when he misspoke about some of the ship names. Yeah.
When he called all the Xi'an scouts smaller than Endeavor.
He's like,
I
think
we would hope so.
Xi'an Scout is like,
I thought he said it was bigger than the Endeavor.
No, he said he thought it was smaller than the Endeavor. I was like, well, God, if you're in design, if you're in design, I hope so. It'd be like saying, hey, that Herald, it may be smaller than an Idris. I'm not entirely sure, but in the design thing, I don't know. We'll see what happens. But
it is a 2-seater now.
Yeah. 2-seater, I mean.
Well, if it's the size of Idris now, that's going to be some hell of a lot of ramming speed.
And you know what? If either one of those ships were the size of an Endeavor or an Idris, I don't think that it would make a very good scout ship. No. Just me. I don't think it'd be very sneaky. It's like it would be like, let me sneak up on you with the size of a small, city block. It'd be amazing. So
it was like a board cube that's like, hello, and I'm just gonna go right past you and not give a fuck.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those things there. But yeah, we obviously here we'll go ahead and go through. Fred, aka Charles Frederick, there. Zealous Fox. He's here all the time. So we kind of got a misfire there on the start as always, and I had to work late, so we're a little bit later than normal, but that's okay. So this week, other than the 10 for the designers, they had some interesting things there. Not a lot of information that I thought was too loose from what we know. It was a lot of redundant stuff. I think we're educating some new people that came into the fold from CitizenCon, which, hey, million citizens now, not backers. Let's be really clear. We don't backers. Yeah, we don't want DS or anybody else to get confused and lose their shit over this one. Like, oh, they say I have 1 million supporters. No, we don't. No, unlike some people who make video games that only have 2 people supporting them at one time, we have 1 million citizens or 1 million accounts. I guess
exciting. We broke 93 million today.
Yeah.
That's another awesome milestone. We're just breaking down walls.
Yeah, absolutely. Go ahead,
Josh. Is that company EA, the one with 2 supporters?
No, I was referring more to the 3000 AD game, but it's whatever. It's because I don't think you can log in more than 2 people in the super epic saga of that. So be sure to go check out the review on that. We'll play that one night. I know we don't want to give the man who should not be named a lot of credit, but I think it's a hilarious video on that review spoof that does it over his game. I couldn't even contain myself. It was really good. It's old video, but it's funny. But anyway, so what did we have this week? We didn't have a 10 for the chair, so they did the 10 for the designers. We didn't have a lot of content, but I really believe they're working really hard on everything to get it out. We've seen 1.3 drop.
Well, in PTU. It hasn't gone live yet.
In PTU.
Yep.
And we've seen me drop completely out of 1.3 in PTU repeatedly to where I can't get into the damn thing. But, it's PTU.
Yep.
So
it's had a few hot fixes, too. So they're making progress. It'll probably go live maybe next week. They still have a lot of issues they got to work through.
Absolutely. But I'll tell you what, even though I am currently falling through the floor of CryEngine or whatever you want to call it at this point, if you go into Arena Commander looks effing fantastic in the PTU version. For me, it looks a lot better to me, at least gameplay wise. My frame rate is probably about 20 frames higher for me personally inside the PTU version of Arena Commander than it is in the other. And this is not changing any modules or anything like that. So there's a lot of polish there that a lot of people might not appreciate who have higher end cards. But if you're sitting down in the low level 670 area with me, it looks pretty sweet, man.
Yeah, I mean, like when I was playing, I played a few waves of Vandal Swarm solo.
Yeah.
And every time that I played Vandal Swarm and they warp in, it would be a quick pause.
Oh.
And I didn't see that.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I was getting, even in multiplayer, I was just getting really smooth frames. I was getting wasted with like such ease, but at the same time, it looked so good and smooth. I didn't have a lot of excuses of jitter or anything like that.
I love the new animations they do with the damage collisions and the missiles. Like you can see the missiles way easier now, which makes them easier to dodge. That's a good thing.
The trails are beautiful on the missiles too.
Yep. The explosions, that poof. That's pretty cool. I also like the like glancing kind of ricochet effect you get when you're bouncing ballistics off of holes. That's pretty awesome.
Yep.
They added that?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's all in there. You should, if you haven't checked out even if you dial it, who cares? Get in the multiplayer, check it out. Because it's just like, I was there dying and I wasn't angry about it. I was like, this looks really
beautiful.
pretty.
It's beautiful.
What a beautiful death it is.
Right.
So.
You think it's really pretty until you start losing money.
Yeah. That's true. There you go. But right now I can enjoy it in utter bliss. But no, it looks really good. I encourage everybody, if you haven't had the opportunity to check out, and everybody's been running for the buggies over in the social module. If you haven't checked out AC or Arena Commander inside the PTU, take a moment, check it out. It looks really good. I'm not saying it's fully fixed. I'm not saying it's 100% not buggy. They haven't balanced anything, all that stuff. I don't really care about that personally if you listen to me talk about it anyway, but it looks effing good. You can tell they're getting ready for the big dump on the 2.0 because that thing is just the ships, the effects, the weapon systems that we currently have in place are running very well.
They actually have done some balancing, actually, and I think it's their way to mitigate meta builds, like everyone running Sawbucks or everyone running the Mantis. And that is the effects energy weapons have against hull is drastically reduced, but ballistic weapons don't really penetrate shields as effectively as they used to. And they've given everyone essentially more hit points on their ships as well.
Yeah.
So that's another kind of balancing. The thing is, they increase the damage of the missiles, which lots of people are complaining now that it's more missile spamming. Like you just launch your missiles,
but they didn't increase the flight times and stuff, so they're still available. I think the problem is people went from like missiles being way OP to nerfing them down where they were ineffectual for fast ships. Fast ships could just be like, whatever, I don't care. Now they're relevant a little bit again, and they are more buffed up, but that's because they increased them because they increased the hit points of ships too. People don't pay attention to that as much, but it's because we've gotten away from all the heavy tank ships. People aren't flying the heavy tank ships. They've been flying these other ships because the missiles weren't really effective. So now anytime you have to change what ship you're flying, everybody's like, oh, well, shit. This is terrible. Like when the Avengers are OP, they're like, oh my god, everybody's flying Avenger. This is terrible. It's just normal. It's going to be that way. But And even with that, I mean, it's never going to be perfectly balanced as long as they're adding stuff. Let's be honest. That's the way games work. You know, they've added, what, size 3 and size 4 gun into the thing?
Oh, and
size
we
4.
need to talk
Size
about
4.
those.
Yeah.
The mass drivers and the ballistic cannon.
Mm-hmm.
I watched a video today. There was this German guy that was pretty much reviewing them. And those mass drivers, the size 3s, I think, they look... the size 2 mass drivers look insane. You have limited ammunition you can run with them, but the damage they do is insane. The size 4, it looks very difficult to hit anything with, just due to the reduction in the velocity that they've added to ballistic weapons. He was having trouble hitting. But when he did hit, the ships were doing flips.
Yeah, the collision.
I'm serious. It just slammed into them, and they were doing flips. I'm like, dude, that's insane.
Just knocking around like with a fly swatter.
It was.
That's crazy.
Size 1 mass driver, shooting him with a 50 cal. Okay? Size 4 gun, shooting him with a 90 millimeter from like a Tiger.
Yeah.
In space.
And you could definitely get the effects of the mass, because it literally threw off the trajectory of the ship when it got hit with it, and it was pretty insane.
That's going to be interesting too, for just that aspect too alone. You know, we haven't talked a lot about, you know, when it goes to larger world and we have these ship fights and you have those type of weapons as common front. Obviously they shouldn't impact the velocity or movement of the larger mass ships a lot, but if you have several of those hitting you, I mean, you might have a problem like getting around in some of these lighter body, big frame ships.
Well, I think it's going to more punch holes in the side of the big ships than really toss them around. It's just going to fully penetrate.
Yeah, you would think so anyway. I mean, if it works
like,
right.
Take a Delta, strip off the pods, strap on let's see, 4 size 1 mass drivers and 2 size 2 mass drivers, and then hit something with that, because that will make them, you know, fly out of control with that much, you know, mass hitting them at that speed.
Oh, absolutely. You're going to get a lot of that type of effect out there. So
just to kind of give a little more on those mass drivers that they added in, he was single-shotting Vandal scythes.
Yeah. That's good. That's awesome.
One round, just...
Vandal scythes were very, very lightly armored and lightly shielded in the first place. So...
But that's way more powerful than anything we've seen in the game thus far.
Was that with the size 4 or was that with the size 2?
Those were the size 2.
I think one of the things that, you know, people talk about missiles being OP, I think when we go to large ships, people will be in the smaller vessels will be begging for those missiles to be OP.
Yes.
Because you're going to be wanting to shoot, like, if you're up against a Connie or one of these other ships that has these type of weapons on them, you're going to be in deep shit.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to be like, hey, you know, here comes my horn. Oh, I'm dead. That's it. And you're going to want to be able to use your maneuverability. And I know I use the word hornet and maneuverability in the same sense, which is not really,
What is that?
But compared to large vessels, it will be more maneuverable. I mean, not as much as like a Gladius or something, but you will want to be able to dump those missiles onto the ships in order to continually pile on damage if you're in these smaller craft, because you aren't going to want to do a straight line on them. You come a straight line on them and they get those guns tracked down on you, you're going to have a problem. You're going to have a big problem there real quick. So
there's not going to be any rescue for you.
Yeah, and I understand missiles are OP when you're in a fishbowl like this and you have a bunch of little ships flying around, you got missiles tracking you and you can't escape and you can't get anywhere, you're not fast enough. I understand your pain, but I think you're going to love those missiles when it goes to large world and you have more of a room like this and you can get in and out of range as a small ship, but the big ships cannot get away from your missiles because they don't have the velocity to go away. I really do. So AC, yes, OP. Large world, maybe not.
Right.
So we'll see how that plays down anyway. The other thing that we noticed that I didn't get to take part in, and I wish I would have, they, for a brief moment inside AC when they dropped 1.3 in the PTU, we saw EVA. Like EVA out of ships. And there's some videos on YouTube, right?
Check them out.
Check them out.
We don't have it.
Yeah, we don't have them linked. We didn't get any in there, but they're out there, and people were actually able to do the EVA right out of their ship, come back around the back, and do those type of things. Then they found out they were breaking a lot of stuff, so they immediately ripped it out of the 1.3. But it made me cry a little bit because I wanted to play with it. But it was pretty epic to see. Here's 1.3, and all these mechanics. They're obviously dropping for the large world or the AC Alpha 2.0 were in the game. Whether intentional or not, they were there, and I was like, ooh, pretty.
It was a lot more exciting of a patch than I was assuming. I thought it was just going to be mostly back-end stuff.
Yeah.
Where they were merging all the systems together, but they added lots of animations, lots of Grey Cat explosions and Carmageddon.
And they added even more shit today.
Yeah, and they're constantly patching and update. I mean, we've seen it. This 1.3 dropped.
This is the third patch.
Yeah, third patch in 72 hours or less. So we've seen quite a few coming up. They're reiterating.
And they never patched the PTU more than once.
Yeah, this is the second or third patch we've seen inside of 3 days, like I said. And they're really pressing it hard because they're trying to get it out. Their goal is, according to RTV, when they were asking about it, next week they really want to do it. They don't know if they'll be able to do it for regular public, but they're going to try to get 1.3 out there regular public next week. We'll see. They may or may not be able to do it because it's got a little glitchy stuff. There's some work that needs to be done. But
oh my god, when I was playing it, all the sound was distorted.
Yeah, I've other than falling through the floor and being able to get into Arena Commander, I've yet to get into Social Module and sit in a buggy, just because it crashes on me or I've had other issues.
Well, the buggies weren't working very well either. So
yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, they're working on them, and I've seen people do that. Of course, I have some hardware limitations too, so I mean, some of that comes into play. But a lot of people with much better hardware than me is having the same issue. So, we'll see what happens. Other things that happen other than 1.3, although that is continuing to be the big news, we've seen the Saber drop as far as the concept. They've released a Q&A for it, which we had a lot of little bitty details from CitizenCon on through the weekend about, okay, it's a ninja-like ship, and it's supposedly in the class similar to a Hornet, but it's more of a ninja lighter ship than a heavy tank type ship, but it goes in that same type of genre as far as hitting power and stuff. And there's some, in the Q&A, they asked some actual decent questions. Some of them were kind of redundant, but I'm glad some of the, what we normally classify as dumb questions were asked, because it solidifies when you have a actual response from CIG on these things on how the ship will be developed and what the feel and those type of things will be when it's in our hands. And it makes me want the Saber that much more now, because they basically asked exactly some of the things I was inferring, but they've confirmed. So basically, when they're asking about the ninja-like capabilities, they're talking about you'll be able to
how does it compare it up to the Hornet Ghost?
Exactly.
That was probably the best question there.
I think so. I think that was a really solid question. But one of the best descriptions they talked about was the fact that you will be able to be on the outskirts of battle. You'll be able to approach the enemy virtually undetected, by radar signature anyway, and basically dump on them, and then try to, GTFO, because that's how that ship's going to be flown. As opposed to the Hornet, that will try to hang in there, tank some stuff, survive, and move on and use its firepower to do that. This is a hit and run vessel. This is a vessel that our organization would be very, very interested in possessing and having our pilots in whatever format, because this is a response vehicle. This is something where you don't sit there in the big coy of the battle, but a smaller group can come in and tactically take out a target and get the hell out of there. So I think it's going to be very relevant in the game. Now, it is going to be, I won't say paper thin, but for as far as the medium class size fighters goes, it is the lighter version of that. So it's not going to sit there and just dogfight out. It'll probably, everybody flies one will cry about missile spam if it can't get out. But they say it will be fast. It's not going to be the fastest thing, but it's going to be pretty damn quick for ship class.
Yep. Get in and get out.
Yep. And with jump drive capability too. So they consider it a medium. So it's going to have some medium ranges too. So that's you know, they're basically talking about it, and they depend in reference exactly, because I love the Gladius. It's just a heavier Gladius, is what it is. Just a little bit larger Gladius ship. And I think, yeah, it's going to be pretty amazing ship for that. Don't tell everybody. But yeah, I think it's really going to be relevant. Plus, one of the coolest features, I don't know if you guys saw that when I was reading through on it, to lower its SIG and its cross section, all the guns retract into it.
Oh, yep, to lower the profile.
That just laugh it off. I just want to see that animation. You're sitting there, it's like, all right, guys, we're about to go in, and then it goes, let's hit it.
Yep.
It's like Star Wars
so awesome.
when the X-wings are going in.
Oh yeah, the wings come in, the guns retract in, the nose guns buckle down. I'm like, oh my god, I want this ship, because it'll go like full combat profile and go ready, and you just fly in hot, spray and pray, dead.
It's the little guy with the crowbar that sneaks in and then busts your kneecap in.
This is yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The shorty that comes in, he's like, I got a crowbar, boom, boom, and knock him down to size. I think what would be cool with this is when you have like one of the scout vehicles with smaller SIG to pick up radio frequencies, and you have these as support craft because they're low SIG. You basically have a small hidden tack fleet.
You have a small fleet.
Yep. Boom. You know the target. There's the target. Hit the target. Get the hell out of there and run back to Endeavor. Go, I wasn't doing nothing, man. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yep.
I want to know if we can have a Merlin
Mm-hmm.
with a stealth armor refit.
Yep. And only the thing is, only the fastest ships are going to be able to catch it, because anything of its same ship class are not going to be able to intercept the ship. Yeah, they're going to be too slow. And
this thing's all engines.
And veritably, if they keep the same flight time on missiles, this thing will be right at the precuss of, unless you get them dead to rights, it'll be able to evade the missiles too.
Yep.
So that's pretty awesome in multiple levels from my book. So Sabre support, that's probably going to be my new favorite fighter, I think. Because I love the Gladius. It's just a little too light for me as far as armament, and the maneuverability's there. But I can almost overmaneuver it. I mean, it's like, you know, I can ninja foot that thing all day, but it just ain't got enough oomph to kill what I need to kill the way I kill things, without just missile dumping and then hoping. So,
well, I think that's what everyone's doing in Ring Commander right now, so don't feel too bad.
I never do. People always say, well, you should feel bad for killing people that way. Hey, I'm not a fighter pilot, bro. I dump how I do. I'm supposed to be over Captain Kirk in the chair telling other people what to do, but I'll come in and dump whatever I do. But I won't go, I mean, I've tried it before, but I won't go full Gladiator on people and sit there all day, because that worked well when the Gladiator, and they had huge flight time on missiles, but sitting there in a big, like, bathtub.
It's a big red target right now.
Yeah, it's a huge target. People see it and they're like,
see
kill the demon.
Gladiator, like, he has way too many missiles to be hanging out in the battlefield. We need to take him down.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think, you know, if you haven't read the Q&A for it and you're on the fence about the Sabre, read it. Read it. It looks really, really good. They say, and one of my favorite questions down there, does it fit inside the Idris? Yes.
Yes, it does.
Yes.
No beating around the bush. Yes. Yes, it'll fit inside the Idris.
Yes, it will fit inside Idris. Yes, it will fit inside. It will fit inside that Endeavor hangar bay.
And you know, the one thing, like I said about the flying of the Gladius, it didn't feel like it had enough oomph to me. And basically, the ship description there, they said the Sabre is going to handle very similar to the Gladius. If you look closely at maneuvering, thrust type, and placement, it's very similar. If you enjoy flying the Gladius, the Sabre could have broadly the same, but with a little extra weight, and that's perfect. It just screams Mitachi. So if you're looking for a Christmas gift, there it is. You know, send it over to me. Anyway, so we saw that Q&A come out, which solidified my love for that ship, at least in its current conceptual form. We've also seen Jump Point came out, for people who haven't checked out that. So for subscribers, it's well, you can't see it because it's loading so much on my screen. It's really heavy on the Endeavor, and we almost did an entire episode on the Endeavor stuff, and it's a really good one if you watch. I can't remember if it was episode 5. It's either 4 or 5. Check the deets on it on the YouTube. We had a really good whole, you know, overview over the Endeavor that we did for the Space Pro show. And what this is going to dive into, for those of you who may or may not be subscribers who can see this stuff, it's going to just go into, like many of the other ships they review, a lot of the conceptual drawings. The path's not taken, so to speak. So while it's kind of cool, it's not going to be overall informative other than their design process of what their thought process was from concept through development to where they're at right now as far as the production line on the Endeavor itself. So it gives you a good background of how they operate, but it gets kind of redundant to me to read some of these and go, okay, yeah, that's cool. Never mind, this sucks, and then it's like great, I've read a lot of that didn't matter, but it is kind of neat to see how things operate in the background.
Yeah, the jump point's never like when you get the jump point, it's never like, oh, that's new info or anything. Yeah. It's mostly just kind of like a background to the work in progress and everything that they've been doing. Conceptually, and red marks like, oh, we don't like this. They should really
call it something else, like behind the scenes at CIG or something, because that's really what it is.
Yeah,
it hits a lot of.
But you can see all the Endeavor concepts. Like those are all cool shots.
Yep.
Occasionally,
a lot of that stuff never came to
fruition. From the jump point, you get the interesting stuff from the vault.
Yeah. Yeah, you can. You get the interesting, and you get sometimes a little bit different take on some of the graphics and stuff, and little things like that. But most of the best final graphics are very familiar. You'll see them. They're the same ones they include in the Q&As for the ships and things like that. Those are the final ones that they have. But there's some interesting, information stuff that you can see there on how they're developing it and what their thought process was. I think the only jump point I ever read that really had information that was really good for me was if you go back to some of the economy ones where they were playing the board game out. And I wasn't around when they first talked about the economy. So it is good for new citizens. You can go back and find all kinds of information that, we might have missed out on before you backed or before you subbed or before you found out about Star Citizen. And once you are a sub, and even for the $10 level, you can check out every single jump point. You can go all the way back to the first one. You can rehash everything you want to see. And that really has some interesting stuff for you. So if you don't have access to this, there are some offline services that do have these out there, which, I know it's supposed to be inside RSI perk, but, with those type of subscriptions and stuff, you can do that.
Keeps it in.
Yeah.
That's why they started doing the other things that you can't just post on the internet.
Yeah, exactly. So, there's other information stuff out there. So, definitely, if you have the opportunity, check it out if you feel so inclined. Otherwise, if you miss out on it and you don't really have access or you don't want to be bothered with it, you're not missing a lot, in other words. But it is cool just to have more stars and stuff. That's always the way I look at it. So we also saw today the developmental update, which now they're combining not only the Star Marine update, but they're going to combine every update as we move towards SE Alpha 2.0. So they're combining those into one update. So you get a whole prologue of not only the direct FPS, but the large world map stuff and how that's coming along. It's kind of, I won't say it's frustrating to me, but it kind of is because it's making me really want it even more. And I'm sure that's part of the intention, right? But you go through and you read all the punch lists on what they do. They've had all the new graphic effects. They're looking at them and how they're putting them in there. And I think they're calling it, the initial map's called Crusader, I believe.
Mm-hmm. That's the planet that they're orbiting.
Crusader Industries stations.
Mm-hmm. And I think you'll see anytime you hear them refer to any of the CIG devs or anything, you'll hear them refer mostly to the map itself and the development of AC Alpha 2.0 or SC Alpha 2.0 as Crusader, because that's just what they're calling it, because it surrounds that's the initial large map. That's what it is, so you're familiar. So they're talking about all the systems that are putting in place, all these things, and they're also talking about what I thought was interesting, because remember, we didn't know how they were going to work the logical security zones, right? They were going to have some sort of system where, they haven't mentioned the PvP slide or anything. God, and hope they don't mention it anyway. But they haven't mentioned any of that stuff, but they've talked about the green zone now. So the green zone is they're going to introduce the first green zone, which is the non-combat area for all players. Now, we haven't seen or had a lot of detail on how they're going to do this. I don't know if it's like a typical, like an MMO NPC enforced, if it just doesn't allow you to shoot each other or target each other, or how they're doing it. I really hope it's NPC enforced, because
I'm pretty sure it's going to be NPC.
From the way it reads, it sounds like they're just going to completely turn off your weapons in the green area, and you won't be able to attack in that area.
I think they're going to do that for the first
initial
iteration.
Stuff.
Yeah, but once it's in the beta or something like that.
God, I want them to go NPC force, because what would be more cool than this guy gets a hard on for you, and he's like starting to shoot your ship, and all of a sudden you see like 3 Idrises like coming out of jump and just alpha him off the field.
Yeah, I'm not entirely sure their AI is that far along, though.
I don't think so. I agree. I don't think that they're quite that far on it, but that's where I want to see it go. I want to see the NPC, like those of you who have played EVE Online, you have the opportunity to be, I won't say a dumbass, but be a pirate ganker in high sec and get a whole bunch of bad rep by doing something stupid. But if you want to do that, you can, but there's major consequences for it. Like, you have to basically, in EVE Online, there's whole fleets will set up alpha cheap ships, and they'll sit there in high sec waiting for the right target, and then I'll shoot them at once and try to pop them before the NPCs just instantly show up and kill all them. And it is one of the most glorious explosions in multiplayer spaceship gaming to watch whenever you see that. And with the explosion detail they have in Star Citizen, oh my god, I want it to happen.
Yeah.
I'm sorry for you guys who get ganked because of this, but I want to see it. Because I want to see the beauty of just
like... That poor guy pulling up with his brand new javelin to park it. It's gone. Bye.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Javelins won't get outfit off the field. Same thing we had in EVE, where we had freighters and stuff like that. Freighters have like hundreds of thousands of hit points. Somebody cannot bring in a ship into high sec, first off, that would be of the size to just nuke one of those. And if they did, it's guaranteed to die anyway, so it wouldn't be cost effective. You'd have to bring, a some odd $1 billion ship to kill a $1 billion ship. That would be ridiculous.
You drive by with your like organizations like Bangle, and use the lower or twin and 120 millimeter turret and shoot straight through the deck.
Yeah, and then you lose your Bengal carrier because you alpha zone. Yeah. But so what they did in EVE, and Goons perfected this, I'm sure Test has thought about this too, if they go that route. You can sit there and you have smaller ships, so they'd probably find the smallest ship that would support a size 4 gun, whittle it down to hardly any support on it, life support or anything else, and then you alpha. And then if you lose those ships, you're hitting a target worth way more than your ship anyway. So you just try to find the cheapest ship. It's almost a whole technique. There's like hundreds of pages of forum posts in EVE on how to do this. But it's basically a whole design element of finding a cheap ship that can alpha stuff off the field. Then you bring in third-party people not associated with that actual fight to loot the field. And I can see this happening in this game. Although it would be much more visually glorious. So I do support it occurring. As long as the punishment is sufficient enough to deter everybody from doing it except for the truly hardcore.
Yeah, honestly, I think what we'll see is right now it's talking about this green zone.
Mm-hmm.
I think eventually it's going to evolve into the high security UEE space, essentially, and we're going to have whole systems that are essentially going to be these green zones that you aren't supposed to partake in illicit activities. But right now, I think just with 2.0 with it hitting now, they're just going to make it to where your weapons won't fire in that area.
Yeah, and if you can't target, you can't shoot, you can't, whatever.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you can run into each other, but...
Ramming speed.
Ramming speed, yeah.
Ramming speed. So, yeah. So, we got that drop in there. And, you read about in this a lot of the interesting things that they're putting in. And that's one of the most frustrating things to me, because it sounds so effing cool what they're putting in. Like, but they make the whole bullet point of gameplay and engineering sound like we're already playing it. Oh, don't worry, guys, we're adding this. And I'm sitting there reading, it's like, added extra missions. Oh, it's like, yeah, because all the missions I'm playing right now aren't enough. I'm like, I'm not playing any of the missions. You're adding more missions. Where's my missions I want to start with? I mean, give me a break. It's like,
The article is very much written as kind of a teaser, because you read through it's like, it sounds amazing, it's like it sounds ready, right? And then you get to the blocker section,
Oh, for sure.
And
Yeah.
it kind of brings things back into perspective, and it's
Oh,
like,
absolutely.
okay, they're not really.
Yeah.
I do think they're a lot further in 2.0 than we assume they are.
Mm-hmm.
But
It might not be by next week, because I think our assumptions will
no,
just go through the roof.
no, we'll be lucky if 1.3 goes live next week.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of issues that need to iron out with that.
I think we're from CitizenCon. We were still disillusioned by how far they are in the progress, but at this point, we're kind of getting our head around where they are from an internal testing standpoint. But let's be honest, with what we've seen with Star Marine, I mean, we were blown away when they showed us the FPS like back when, and we were like, wow, look how far along they are, and they're really far along, but the blockers are forever on some of this stuff. So
Yeah.
hopefully now that they have their, if you listen to Aaron Roberts, they have their teams optimized, they're shifting people around, so teams are localized in areas with what they're functionally working on. They're saying that it vastly improves. I've heard numbers thrown around by different devs of upwards of 200% faster than in development than where they were, which is all relative though. I mean, you can say what you will and all this, it's all relative. Is it okay to still get hyped about it? I think so. I think we're still hopefully looking inside this year on this. I really do.
Oh yeah. I
just don't know if it's going to be a Thanksgiving present or if it's going to be a Christmas present.
Well, it's all dependent upon how they handle the issues. Like,
Yeah.
if you scroll down to the blockers, the biggest blocker I think is probably the netcode.
It's always going to be
netcode, that is going to be the biggest issue to isolate and to rectify. Most of that other stuff isn't huge,
It's stuff that you can still get the game on the other stuff and work through. It'd be buggy,
but like, I think, what is that? The first bullet point. It's like netcode, or first or second.
Yeah, it says mainly network, but yeah, holding us back in the functionality side. But here's the other thing, and this is a thing that I know they're not dumb, and I know they realize. But as long as you're adding elements into the game, netcode will always be a pusher. It'll always be something that'll push back on you. As long as you're adding additional content, you're not expanding the current content or features that are functioning. You're adding additional content, additional animations, additional stuff. It's always going to be a pushback. So the question always lies, at what point is the netcode good on a build to have it tested out publicly? And what point do you maybe say, okay, we're going to add this stuff in to get it functionally to the gameplay of what we want, and then we're going to stop adding to this build and we'll push this build out, and then we'll keep adding items to the next build that's not available out yet, and then optimize that, because you will always have the battle of optimization. I mean, EVE Online, 10 years plus in the game, they're always optimizing. It's a constant thing. There is no perfect optimization. You don't get it, oh, this is optimized and that's it. That's why they have gone from fleet fights in EVE, even though it's nowhere near the scale and detail of this, it's a larger player scale. You've gone from 200-man fights to 400-man fights to 800-man fights to 1,600-man fights to, now they can support over 3,000 people in the system fights. That's, that was a whole coding issue that they worked through. And in here, I would just like to see us be able to get up to the 100-man fights, things like that. But they have to be able to have the 10-man fights first, and the 20-man fights, and all that. So we'll see when it drops, where they're at with it. I'm hoping maybe they'll get it up to ArcCorp level, because they're currently trying to get ArcCorp up to 40 or whatever with this last build they're saying. If they could get it around there, that'd be ideal testing thing. If they could even get 10 or 20, I'd be satisfied. But they need to get it somewhere with the animations and stuff to where we can actually operate, and we're not getting our receipt mid-flight and just falling through the bottom of our ship. Because I think that's kind of where they're at right now. It just gets buggy. And,
Yeah, I mean, I was definitely kind of disappointed in the initial 1.3 PTU patch, because there were so many issues. Client side, people were getting kicked for crazy reasons and stuff like that. And that's, I really appreciate the hot fixes that they've been applying. I definitely feel like SIG has become more focused. They have a goal they seem a lot more driven now than they have been for the past like 3-4 months.
Absolutely. And I even though that came with some issues, I'm glad they pushed it out because they're being responsive. If they would have pushed it out like in the current state of the company 8 months ago, a year ago, it's one of those things where they kind of they push it out when they think it's as good as they're going to get it. And then they kind of like, here it is, we'll give you one patch to kind of tie up some things, and there you go. I'd rather be an integral part of working with them to fix the stuff. Like, okay, it's totally failing for me, but for this guy, it's working perfect. Or for this guy, he can get an AC. I can't get in the social mod. And as long as
what
they're
are the variables?
Yeah. As long as they're actively engaged with the community, pushing out fixes, that's not a problem. Because we're seeing a fix like every 12 to 24 hours. Like, oh, we're fixing some stuff. We're working with you. What's the feedback? Okay, there you go. And I think a lot of the different elements of what they've done there, we're seeing the real-time reaction of how they're implementing fixes and stuff like that. And I like that because it shows what they're doing live instead of like code of silence for 2 weeks. We'll feed you some stuff and some ship sales, and then maybe you'll get the next fix, or maybe it'll be different and stuff. So I feel like they're more in the game.
Yeah, it definitely feels like since CitizenCon, they just kind of blew the doors open and like, you know what, here's all our cards.
Yeah.
And how much of that has come from the recent drama between, certain media outlets and critics that have been around since the beginning.
Yeah.
I think they're just kind of getting fed up with it, and they're just saying, you know what, screw it. We're just gonna push forward. We're gonna knock this shit out, and we're gonna get it done.
I think they're also
that's what we're seeing.
Yeah, I think you're right, Fred. But I think they're also more confident because they've seen this media shitstorm happen, and they've seen the reaction of the community. We don't give a shit what these people say. We're like, hey, we're with you guys. We're here. We're committed to it.
We believe in SIG. We know.
Don't be scared to show us shit. Don't be scared to push it out to us. Let us help you get this fucking game done. If you need money, here's some money. If you need us to test, here's some testing. If you need feedback, here, we'll give you feedback. Just work with us on it and do that. And I know they knew that to a point anyway, but I don't think they realized how deep that support went until the last couple weeks. So in that regard, the Escapist article and all the other stuff has actually been a real positive for the overall community knitting together and holding together and supporting CIG and the development of where they're at with everything. And
absolutely.
And I think that's resonated with them. And I think not only Chris Roberts and everybody else are like, you know what? If they're not going to bail on us and they're not going to have this big lashback because of this, let's just give them what we got and let's just get this thing going and stuff. And I think, they've realized we're in it to win it with them. I mean, let's do this thing. So
definitely.
And we're seeing the payoff of that support that we give CIG and Chris Roberts and Sandy and everybody up there. They're going to start to crack the doors open a little more, not just to show us, but to give us stuff and let's work with it. I mean, if I fall through my ship, I fall through my ship. I'm like, hey, it's there. At least if we both know it's happening, it's nobody's like, hey, don't do it. He'll fall through his ship.
Right.
It's not the first time or first game that somebody's fallen through the floor.
I don't know. I think every game I've ever played, I've fallen through the map at one point or another. I mean, I don't know one that exists. There's no such thing as that. I'm just happy to be part of the development in whatever capacity I can be. So I think that's really good. Yep. So a couple other cool things that came out, that were little tidbits that happened during RTV today. And thank you again, INN, for, as always, providing a great transcript of what's going on and all that stuff for guys like me who can't sit through the episode because I work. I can go through and at my breaks and skim through the transcript. It's good information there. I think they're talking about they're going to have some higher resolution videos from CitizenCon 60 frames plus out there for you. So if you didn't get to watch it or you watched it in a more degraded form or whatever, go out and check out the CIG YouTube. They got a lot of good stuff out there. We will have loop streams going on throughout the channel sometimes where you'll see a lot of that content on here on this channel. They're refeaturing and getting all the new 10 for the blanks up, whether it's developers and all that. They also talked about the basically the weapons testing, things of that nature. They asked whenever they'll have more information on several of the ships, and I think the Cutlass was a big question mark because they said they haven't really done that much more with the Cutlass, but they're currently working on some things for that. So I don't know. So we'll see what happens there. Let's see. So, oh yeah, the big news that I saw in there, where a lot of people on the forums were asking about, was about the cross chassis downgrades, because it was a huge thing where people were like, well, this cross chassis stuff's going to end up costing you money and all this other crap, and people were up in arms like, I got to pay for something I already paid for and all this, you know. But it looks like they're actually working on, according to Ben Lesnick anyway, they're working on the cross chassis downgrades for people. So that way, if you do have LTI ships or whatever, and how that will function when you want to change over to something new that comes out, be it less value than what you have or more value, you'll have an option for that eventually here. So they're working that out, and he's already stated too that they will not cost you additional money. So now that we have him on record saying that, hopefully that'll be great, and we'll have all the other information we need. So you'll end up with being able to convert whatever package or accessories that you have to whatever ship you want, and then you'll just have extra credit in your wallet.
Well, let's take that with a grain of salt, though. They say it's not going to cost you more money, but you may not get full credit for the downgrade.
Very true.
They might cut a little bit off, but just because it does, like, a system like this does take a lot to implement and to use the network, and all these queries to upgrade, downgrade do take up, server resources. So it may not cost you any money out of pocket. You might lose credits in the possibility.
This is true.
My speculation. I'm not saying that's what's going to happen, but I would not be shocked if that was the case.
And to be honest, if it's $5, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, it's just something to be prepared for.
Yeah. I mean, everything I look at goes towards development of something. I mean, if they're starting to charge you $10, $20, $30 to do something like that, yeah, that's a problem. But $5, I mean, whatever. We're bogging up the system. I mean, you have to realize all these trades and stuff just occupies. There's some guy that's got to sit there and do all this crap. So when we want to unmelt, remelt, trade over,
exactly.
I mean, it's just taking up more people's
There was
time.
a forum post that please stop asking for unmelts.
Yeah. If you melt it, you melt it, guys. I mean, come on. And I understand if you accidentally do, and it's like a help ticket, like within 24 hours, a week, whatever. But people are asking to unmelt stuff from
like
last
6
year.
months a year.
Yeah, I'm like, dude,
yeah,
you fucked up. You know what? If I go out and I buy something bad a year later, I can't go take it. Well, maybe to Walmart you could, but everybody else, you can't just take your shit back after you've worn it and all that stuff. I'm like, come on, guys, give me a break. So, the other kind of things I thought that were interesting that came out during RTV, they talked about, there was a great question there, which I think's already been answered in the past, but for newer players it's relevant. They talked about the Idris P&M and if they have the same exact base hull. And I didn't know this. I'm sure Zealous knew this because Zealous knows everything. But I didn't know this, that there was a hard point for a railgun on one of them.
Yeah.
And it is the largest class weapon that players will probably ever be able to swap out in the game. So I didn't realize that. I didn't know that it had that type of railgun capacity on one and it didn't have it on the other. But I mean, it makes sense, right? Because the M's the military one, right?
Yep.
So there you go.
And the P is the Coast Guard variant.
There you go. Absolutely. So not only that came out, and then the other point that we've all been kind of discussing is when's the anniversary sale, and they answered it back, and they said probably. So don't hold them to stone on it. Right? But they said it's probably going to be November 19th through the 26th. So, for those of you like us that are hustling, bustling ships and trying to position ourselves for trades and everything else, just keep those dates in mind. That will probably be the anniversary sale. So right after you get done giving me all my birthday presents on November 12th, get ready the next week for all these other things. So you need to make sure you have all this here.
My birthday. Where's my birthday presents?
Yeah, I know. Where was your birthday presents? Damn it.
Just kidding.
Next year, Fred. Next year we'll get you. So.
Didn't you get yourself 3?
Well, buying yourself presents
3
aren't really
Sabers.
presents, right?
That doesn't count. That doesn't count.
Yeah,
We need to
it's
talk
hard
about
to count
the fact
that.
that I had 3 Sabers.
Yeah.
Some people might argue about that.
It's true. I mean, you can buy the best birthday presents are the ones you give yourself because you get what you want.
Yeah.
But it's always nice to receive gifts from other people too.
Yeah, let you know they care.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, so as far as all that goes with RTV and everything else, we had a full week this week. There's some good stuff that came out, and yeah, and I hope to add to that we're going to go ahead and announce that for the remainder of the month, we're getting ready to do the next contest right here. So the next big half month contest here for us, since we've done the Ghost, we've done the Connie. And now we're going to do, for the remainder part of the month, we're going to do a $50 Star Citizen gift card that will have multiple ways to enter, obviously. If you're familiar with the other contests, it's going to be the same type of deal. We're going to go ahead and make this live immediately after the show. You'll see some tweets go out, some links and stuff like that. And it'll be posted on a revolving thing there. But we are going to do the $50 Star Citizen gift card. And, it's sponsored by Mr. Fred, so everybody thank Fred for helping out the show and everything. We greatly appreciate him.
Just make sure if you win it, you pick something up with the anniversary sale.
Yep. Put it in the kitty and get that stuff going.
Around that time, you can get yourself a nice reclaimer. Well, help you get a bigger ship if you want.
Or buy yourself, or buy someone else a package.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Hey, you could buy a whole package. Yeah.
You really could. You could get your buddy started in Star Citizen. To be honest, you can get a whole new package.
You know what? That's an even better idea. Screw it.
Yeah, get a buddy in to fly with you. I mean, that's the way to go, in my opinion. But there'll be multiple ways to enter, as always. We made sure to focus. I've increased the dailies, so you get more points for dailies than you do just regular entries. So those of you who have already followed the show and done some of those, you'll be able to get in there and get multiple entries per day to really support that. And if you refer your friends and get other people to join the contest, you'll get even 5 additional points for that. And if you complete 5 of the dailies a day, you'll be able to get a bonus daily entry of 5 points. So we're talking, on this one, as opposed to last time being able to get 3 extra points per day, this one you could get upwards of 10, maybe even 20 points per day. So there should be a lot of freaking entries in this thing for a 13-day little giveaway. So it'll be really good. We look forward to seeing how many entries stack up in this, and hopefully, again, one of our regulars that tend to frequent the show, or even somebody new to Star Citizen, will win this great gift card. It'd be great.
Screw that. I want you guys to win. And realistically, if you entered tonight, that gives you that many more entries over people that find it later on.
Yep.
So take full advantage. I want you guys to win, but we're going to make it fair, make it available to everyone. So, just make sure you guys enter it.
Yep, absolutely. Because we want to spread the word. The real goal is to spread the word about the show, spread the word about Star Citizen 24, and get more people involved in Star Citizen in general. Because the more people we have supporting this channel and the more people we have supporting Star Citizen, the more prizes like this we can give away, the more things we can do, and we can continue to expand the community and, support everything. It's going to be awesome sauce. So hopefully, in the coming months, what I will do is we'll eventually decide whether we want to do, and we'll probably do some channel votes, where we want to do multiple prizes, like we can give out like 3 or 4 out of this contest at once, or if we want to just do one big and just keep doing the weeklies, or how we want to break it up. But for right now, we really thank Fred for supporting this one, and we thank Val for supporting the other ones. I mean, last month Val dropped about $400 in prizes for people, and that was so awesome. I mean, so take the time, take the entries, visit the sites, and do your deal, guys, and really support all this stuff. So other than that, if you guys don't have anything you want to add about anything that you saw this week, any talking points about anything you want to talk about Star Citizen, that's really what I got for the show tonight.
Yeah.
I don't know. Zealous, anything?
Nope, but that railgun you were talking about, basically, it's the one I was always talking about. That's Yeah, I
remember you referring to the actual weapon. I just didn't realize it was only available on
the M.
And I didn't realize it was swappable. So apparently, maybe they're gonna have more than one type of weapon on there.
Yeah, the current one is the Zephyr railgun.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. Don't get hit by that, folks. You think
Dodge
the size
it if you can.
You think the size 4 is bad? That thing's shooting heralds at you, basically. So watch out.
It's more like shooting like a big guy's arms diameter round at you. It's probably about the size, like a 2-foot steel round.
Yeah, that's good. That's a hole puncher.
Massive.
Massive.
It's like it's gonna go straight through, but it's also programming small, so that's gonna be like a giant shotgun shell inside the ship, exploding everywhere.
Absolutely. All right, guys. With that, we're going to go ahead and close down the show for tonight. Don't forget to check us out every night at 10 p.m. CST for our regular stream, hopefully as long as I get off work on time. And then we're going to be back again Monday to the regular schedule, one afternoon, then one evening show. Then we got Thirsty Thursday coming up next week. Once again, a great night of hanging out, kicking it, and getting some shots in. And then we'll be back for the Space Bro Show next week. Other than that, guys, if you want to hang with us, we'll have a little bit of an after show where we hang out, probably play a couple games and whatnot. But that closes it down for tonight, October 16th, 2015. So, yeah, have a great night, guys. Thanks for watching.
Take care, guys. Be safe.
Sweetness.
Okay.